Chris Level here with the head coach of the Lubbock-Cooper Pirates, Chip Darden. Another edition of Pirate Talk here. Looking forward to spending some time with Coach Darden here, talking some football. Non-district play is over, and we'll get into that with Coach in a little bit. Again, you can follow his football program on Twitter at FootballLCP. You can follow him on all the social media channels and things like that, and watch their games on that YouTube stream, LCISD Athletics. Just search for that when you're looking for YouTube, and we'll have it up there live and in color. Bye week. What'd you do with? What'd you do? We'll get to kind of what happened before that bye week here in a little bit. But what'd you do with some free time?
Yeah, we probably this year we kind of changed our bye week just a little bit in that we, it's not like the guys had any days off, but they didn't do any after school practicing. We did a little bit of weightlifting Monday and Wednesday after school, but other than that, they got about 45-minute practice during the period, and then we sent them home. And I think the bye week, everybody talks about, and my dad being a coach, I always remember him talking about on an off week, the worst thing you can do is get somebody hurt during the off week. And it's always in the back of my mind, but we're healthy, but I think more than physically getting back into it and not, kind of taking a break physically is the mental part of it. I mean, it's a mental grind, the schedule these guys are playing and going through. And so I think the mental break was good. You can always tell when we came back Monday off of the open week, there was just a different energy level, a different kind of pop in their step. And I think that was a good thing. Showed us that the bye week was perfect.
You headed into that bye week with a big time win over Wichita Falls Rider. This was not easy, kind of tale of two halves, and a 4th and 8 completion. I'm still just like that. That was a big time play considering that moment. But kind of take us through that game and tale of two halves. You go to halftime 10-0, and then they come storming back, and you knew it was going to be hard to put them away.
Yeah, and I think. It's just like the second half, I don't think we were doing anything just terrible. It wasn't like we came out and all of a sudden they're doing all this new stuff and we're mis-executing things, whatever. I think the Riders made some plays, and you knew they would. And that's the way the game goes. And I was proud of our guys for sticking with it and putting ourselves in a position to win. We ultimately did. And to me, we learned some things. We were kind of in the same position against Friendship where Friendship and Ryder had the ball late and going to take the lead, and we held them out this time, got an interception. And I know we've mentioned it before, but we've been put in a ton of situations in the non-district. Situations like that where we're trying to run the clock out, where we're running 2-minute offense, where we're recovering onside. Just things like that, with Cal Ritz back there, we've had a million kicks thrown at us, and we're handling them all. And I think that's just a lot of scenarios that are really good for us going into district. And then, the 4th and 8 play that you're talking about that we scored, that's one of those where it benefits us a little bit playing a team 9 times. That's a play that we've run against them that typically Cooper Morris is not running that route. He's typically running a different route, but we kind of knew on scout that chance of that boundary safety driving on a route, and we could maybe throw it over his head. And so that's one of those deals that you get. Yeah. There's a benefit in playing somebody so many times and understanding, hey, we haven't seen anybody do this to him, but we know this is what will happen. And so, well executed, and I thought there was some stuff we didn't execute well, but when we needed it, we got it done.
Yeah, and it ends with a 17-14 win, and you finish up the non-district play at 3-1. Their running backs, Ryder, are a handful, very, very difficult to tackle. It's just a team that wasn't going to quit, and that's 9 times now. You're 7-2 against them, and I know fortunate enough to be that. But that's a fun run. What does ROHO stand for?
Ride on, honorable one.
Okay, I asked so many people, and nobody could tell me. And there you go. It's on their helmet and everything like that. But ROHO, okay, ride on, honorable one, just for one more year until they're.
That's right.
Until it doesn't exist.
They're going through kind of what we are. A little different actually. They're
Ryder
High School won't be there anymore.
Crazy. And you get. I think I don't want to forget about mentioning this, but the 4 turnovers or the takeaways in this game. That's probably what ultimately wins you the game. Is that many extra possessions against a team like that?
Yeah, we believe 100% that that's what won the game, and that's something our defense. I think our defense got a little criticism, game 2, game 3 maybe, but you also turn around and look at Wiley after they played us. We hold them to 28 points, and Wiley has scored 56 and 61 the next 2 weeks. Friendship scored 60-something this week. So I think we played some good offenses. But that's the one thing that we've been focused on. We didn't think the first 3 weeks we got enough turnovers. And so really nice to see us get 4, and that was difference in the game, absolutely.
You've mentioned that. That's kind of the game these days. It's like, hey, there's going to be yards out there and points that you give up, but if you can create enough takeaways and mix them in and do something with it, that's sometimes the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And we've got to be offensively. We've got to be better about taking advantage. We got a turnover, started at the 20-yard line and went negative 25 yards, I believe, on that drive, and ended up punting the ball. We got to be better there too. But that's part of non-district, learning how to be better in situations.
With some time off, I think you probably have some time to self-scout and you look at what you're doing, tendencies. We're running this too much. We're going this side too much. Whatever it may be, do you take time and look at all that stuff?
Yeah. We do, like both staffs do, offensive, defensive staff, on a minor scale throughout the year. After a game, we'll kind of look at it, not in too much detail. Really looked at it in the open week, and there's some things that we've got to do. Call them tendency busters sometimes, that we know, hey, we've got to do it that way. They know we'll do this in a certain situation. But I think we run the football first. I mean, that's going to be one tendency that we're not going to probably bust. That's what we like to do. We believe in that's winning football. But there are a few things that maybe, and to me, you might not know that we're doing it, just little things, but obviously not going to tell you what tendencies we're going to bust right now.
Right.
But yeah, there's a few.
Yeah, and it's nice to take a deep breath and get away from it a little bit and be able to stop the routine and just kind of, just for 1 week and just get away from everything and look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes we, talk to the other staff, hey, what would you do? And like most of the time, I'll ask Coach Taylor, defensive line, hey, what would you do to us? And he immediately has an answer, so I know, okay, this is something that he just sees watching us or whatever, maybe not studying film real, in detail, but just seeing what we do. And so sometimes that helps too, that we're able to change something based on what the other side of the ball sees.
Did you get away from things a little bit and just kind of, what did you do with some of your free time that you wouldn't have had otherwise? Because this not only includes no game on a Friday night for you guys, but it's also bye week on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Right.
All those sub-varsity teams don't have any games.
Yeah, and we had some middle school games that we got out to and all that stuff. But so my wife was real excited to not have a Friday night with football. We get to get away from football. But we went ahead and went to the Idlewild Shallowater game and watched some football.
It's a drug, man. Just addicted to it.
Well, Coach White, Coach Owens that were here, we went over to support those guys. So it was good.
Yeah, and this guy was pretty good over at Old Shallowater too. You also spent some time at the fair.
I did.
You did.
Now that was this week though. That was Sunday.
Okay.
So
it kind of bleeds in. Yeah. Okay. But during the last time I guess I've talked to you, favorite ride at the fair is what?
For me,
for
personally,
you.
we went over this. There's no water slides there. I'm not huge on the roller coasters anymore. I'm telling you, it's the wildest thing. I rode one ride with my son, and I was like, okay, that's it for me. Mom, you got him the rest of the way.
Just rolling the train.
Yeah, that's it.
Are you a Ferris wheel guy?
I'm not scared of them.
Okay.
But,
yeah, man.
I'm not that fair. That'll take your money. So we budget it, and we got this many rides.
And it goes quick.
We're rolling.
So tell me, okay. So if we don't want to talk rides, now let's talk food.
Yeah, that's
because we can all what's the go-to?
We're pretty.
And you can have an A, B, C, D.
Yeah, we're pretty traditional. We got to get a corn dog and a funnel cake at the fair, and that's what we rolled with.
Those are like the OGs of the fair food, man.
Yeah, they were good.
Whenever they take a corn dog and they take like the paintbrush with the mustard on it,
I love it.
I'm like, okay, yeah, you've got me. I'm sold. And it's like as long as
mustard. I've learned a lot from Joe Sexton, going to be the Liberty coach. I learned from him a long time ago that you can put mustard on anything and it's good. So I agree with you. When they put mustard all over that, yep, I'm in.
Yeah, that's and funnel cake, man. It's just I don't know what it is, and you can't really dabble with it at home. They'll sell funnel cake kits at the store.
No, it's
No,
different.
man, you need that grease at the fair just tastes different.
I'll tell you what we did though is we took them home. We got them on the way out. That way we could put
Oh,
extra powdered sugar on it when we get home. It's a pretty good
veteran
deal.
move right there.
Yeah.
That's veteran fairgoer right there. There he is, Chip Darden. Okay, I asked you this question or something similar to this a couple weeks ago. And I was curious. I'm going to rephrase it, but when you look at a box score, because you've said before with some of these games, because I remember talking to you after the Wiley game, and you guys rushed for a ton of yards in that game, and you said to me, "I'm not really a big numbers guy, but there was a big rushing total there." When you do look at a box score after a game, what's the first thing you go to? What's
Yards per play.
Okay. That's
So-
what tells you.
Yeah, that's what tells me how successful we were.
Okay.
Because again, like if we're going to snap it 80 times, well, you should have 300 or 400 yards. But 80 snaps and 350 yards as compared to 50 snaps and 350 yards is totally different. So
Math.
yeah, and I'm not going to do that math right now.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but yards per play, if there's one, that would be what we look at the most. And then, I mean, the turnovers we usually know, but we're gonna kind of take a look at that. But like at halftime, we our stats guys, they'll email it to us at halftime, but I don't ever, unless we're using it as a motivational factor for the kids, kind of to point it out. I don't look at it. The scoreboard and yards per play, that's about it.
What's the most overrated stat in football, like on a box score? Like what do maybe some people look at on a box score and it doesn't really tell the story at all, and people may point to it like, man, look at this, but yeah,
I would say first downs,
Okay.
just in general. Now, there's times that's I don't know. You could look at it both ways. I just know I used to chart first downs a whole lot, and then we'd go into a game and we'd get beat 35-7, and we'd look, well, man, we had 18 first downs. Well, it doesn't matter. You had 7 points. So to me, that would be the one. And because football is big plays, like we talked about, I mean, an 80-yard gain nets you 1 first down. So it's just I don't know. I think first downs are maybe a little overrated.
time of possession probably the same
Yeah,
way
I
because
agree.
of what you just said. I mean,
Yeah.
80 yards and scoring, I'm going to take that. I mean, it's different than a 15-play drive that sucks up a bunch of time. Before we get to this week's opponent and kind of the next phase of the schedule and district play and all that stuff, another listener question. I was asked this about 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm writing that down for Coach Darden to ask him. 4 people at dinner, alive or dead.
Man.
You decide who you sitting with.
Man, that's
Who you asking to, and I want these people to have some sort of tie to football.
you do.
Yeah, I just think that we'll keep it that way. I'll rephrase it and we'll ask it a different way in a
Okay.
couple weeks. But yeah, some sort of loose tie to football.
Okay.
Player, coach,
Yeah.
announcer, I don't care. Just
Yeah.
some sort of who would you just be fun to just sit around and cut it up with.
Yeah, I think there's different, like there would be different reasonings for different people.
Absolutely.
My favorite football player of all time is Warren Moon. I'm a Houston Oilers guy. So
Love you blue.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna have Warren Moon there in
Okay.
some capacity. I think having somebody at the table like this one's gonna be random for you, and there's no connection with it other than I think he'd be a fun as Barry Switzer.
Oh yeah, you
Like,
kidding me?
Yeah, that would be a whole lot of fun. And then I'm trying to think. I'd probably have to put one of my favorite Red Raiders of all time. Just to have a Tech connection as well.
Okay.
I was a big Robert Hall fan
Oh,
back
yeah,
in the day.
Robert Hall, very good.
He that was when I was really getting into
Oh,
Tech
yeah.
football. So maybe something like that.
Marcus Coleman back in the
Yeah,
days.
Cole-
yeah,
no
yeah.
doubt.
And just so we're clear, probably the OU version of Barry Switzer, not the
Correct,
Cowboys,
correct.
because that one was a bit of a wreck.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and I'm
Barry.
not a Cowboys fan.
I know you are, based on your fantasy football team name.
Yes,
So
correct.
yes. Okay, so district play is here. This is a bit different now because it counts a bit different. You could have been 0-4 in non-district, and if you win your district games, you still get to go to where you want to go. It's not that it's not meaningless, and you're 3-1, and you, I know you're proud of all those wins, but now it's a bit different. Kind of take me through that dynamic and what you've said to your guys.
Yeah, the message has kind of been the same throughout non-district, that friendship game, the Rider game, number 2 team in the state, if that's the highlight of what we do of the year, then we didn't do much. And we're what kind of phrase that we've got is we're going to be lacing up the basketball shoes pretty quick. We're going to be getting into track pretty quick, and that's not what we want to do. And for us, it's just about us preparing for this part. And we've mentioned this several times, but we believe in teaching kids how to win. That's part of it. And so non-district, we're teaching them how to win, and we want to win. We want to be disappointed when I lose whether it's a one-on-one, like I lose a play, I lose a rep, or lose a game. We want to teach on getting better from that and understanding, okay, what went wrong in the process. What I did on a daily basis maybe went wrong here, and that's why I lost that rep, or that's why we lost the game collectively. And I think we have learned from that, good and bad. You see stuff that you do well and kind of build off of that also. But this is where it matters. And we being 3-1, we feel fortunate to be there. It's been a crazy non-district, 3 1-possession games, and then really the Dumas was pretty much. I mean, it ended up 3 scores, but it wasn't a 3-score game. So I think we're tested. I think we've been in a lot of positions that are going to help us in district, but it's go time now, and I think everybody's in the same boat. Everybody has a sense of urgency. Like I said Monday morning, how we came to practice, I think a lot of that had to do with it being a district week too. And but everybody else in the district, the other 6 teams are doing the same. So I think we've had a good week. I think it's time. It's felt like a long week off to get to this point. I think the guys are ready to roll.
And it's game 1 of 6. And that's not that many, and so there's not much margin for error here. And obviously Coronado coming off of a district game already that they didn't get a win. But can you also tell the weather's starting to change a little bit?
Yeah.
When you show up to that field house in the morning, it's a little cooler, and then you can start to see it.
There's something about a week ago, all of a sudden there was a little crispness in the air in the mornings. And actually this morning we had practice, and I had a long sleeve on. It felt really nice to have a long sleeve.
Smells like sports. Smells like football.
That's right.
Smells like fall. All that stuff. Tell me about Coronado. They have a really good quarterback. In the district you are in now, this is the team that won the district last year. You guys have won a whole bunch of district games in a row, but in this new district, in a higher division, Coronado, they won this thing last year.
Yeah, and they lost their first district game last year. So they lost first district game and then rattled off 4 in a row, I guess, and won it. So they're in the same situation. They've been here. That's what they're talking about this week. But you mentioned it. It revolves around the quarterback. He's really good. He throws the ball well, gets it out on time. I think they use their offensive line with big splits. It's hard to get to him. And then the unique thing about him is a lot of offenses like them have a quarterback that if you get to him, you got him. But he's really good with his legs. And
Senior Jet Carroll is his name.
Yeah. And we played against him last year. We were game 2 last year, so it was early in his varsity career, and you just saw how he took off. And I want to say, and the number of games is going to be wrong, but I had 6 in my head. I think at one point last year he went 6 games without throwing a pick, and they throw the ball average probably around 30 times a game. So that's just pretty impressive, the streak he had. He's just a really good player. But in general, their receivers are really good. They're offensive skill guys, and then really impressed with their secondary. They fly around and they're physical. A couple of returners back there. Manahan is a corner, and a kid named Gilmore is a safety that are really good back there. And then I think everybody around here knows about Curry that's committed to Texas Tech at linebacker. So just all around a really good team. You might see the 1-4 by their name, but they're not a 1-4 football team. They're really good, and we know they're going to be motivated. We know that they're going to be, it's a district game. Whether you've won or lost, it's going to be important. It's a local rivalry, and I think it's fun atmosphere. But we better be ready because they're gonna come out playing hard.
Yeah, and Coach Mann in his second year there, and I don't know what it is about the initials JC, but Jet Carroll and John Curry, both are 2 really really good players. Were you able to, because you're not playing last night, and then obviously Coronado's playing Caprock here in
Yep.
town and all that, and does anybody get to go watch that from your staff? I mean, how does that work, or do you just say, hey man, you guys, you're off, we'll watch it on film or whatever?
Yeah, we get all the film, so we don't. I mean, back in the day, we would, we'd go scout that and chart it and all
Get
that.
you a corn
but
dog and sit and
that's
watch another
exactly
game.
right.
Yeah, that's
See
right.
if there's a funnel cake
Yeah.
out there. I've got a scouting story from El Paso for you too at some point down the road if we want to talk about that. But no, we take it off. Honestly, the streams, you can get a lot more from watching the stream than actually being at the game. They'll zoom in on coaches and see
Yeah.
signals and things like that. So I think we had a bunch of guys that watched it live, and then obviously we got to film on Saturday morning, so didn't have to go scout it. But scouting in El Paso,
Yeah. I was about to circle back. We're not going to bury the lead. We need to hear about it.
it's fun stuff. It was maybe my first time in El Paso. I went and scouted there, and it was an interesting deal. But the best part of it was we go to the concession stand, and I'm thinking, hey man, I'm gonna get, I don't know, some nachos or just some whatever. And I think we went to the wrong side was the part, but all I could get was a bowl of menudo. And I'm not scared of menudo, but it was just interesting. It was different than any high school football game I'd ever been at. And of course we scouted them, and I must not have done a very good job scouting because they whipped our tails the next week in the playoffs. But
You're too worried about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to eat it with all my scout stuff. This wasn't what I had in mind with my food while I'm scouting, but it was a fun time.
That's good. Well, and before we get out of here too, Ethan Elkins will get a big award, kind of a fun deal from Dave Campbell's Texas Football before the game, the Unsung Hero Award. He's starting to kind of feel better, and talked to him earlier this week, and he said, "Man, I'm really starting to feel better and all that." But pretty cool honor for that young man, and we can tell his story again, but almost wasn't with us, and fortunate enough to be playing football and wearing one of these now.
And it was nice to see him against Ryder. He kind of started looking like his old self, and I think a lot of it's confidence. Which, how can you blame anybody to be a little hesitant coming out? But he's starting to play well, no matter what. Like him getting to play a lot, not getting to play a lot, all that. He's the same kid. He's happy. He brings energy. The guys love him. He's a good locker room guy, so happy for him. His future is bright just in this world.
Yeah, so if you go to the game on Friday, make sure you get there early against Coronado because he will be honored before the game. It's a pretty cool deal, but got a heart of gold, literally. Sold out on the home side, I think, this week. Make sure it's cashless. So make sure that you either have your ticket on that phone or you can go buy a standing room only ticket with your phone and use one of those QR codes. And please be nice to the gatekeepers, man. They're trying to get you into the game quick and all that stuff. But that's another edition of Pirate Talk, Coach.
Yeah,
Good luck.
appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. There we go.